you're on.
Today is August 21st, 2024. The meeting is now open at 4:02 p.m. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. For attendance, Diane,
Yes.
Randy,
Here.
George,
Here.
and Jonathan Davidson present. Stephen is absent.
Correct.
Thank you. Carrie Plummer-Galecki, Board Secretary Mary Davis, and Kayla Starbuck from the County Attorney's Office are all here as well. Okay. Carrie, it's time for public comments. Do we have anyone wanting to speak during the open comments portion?
Yes, we do. Zachary Hergenrader.
Good afternoon. Zach Hergenrader with Sarpy County Public Works. I'm the senior engineer there. When I originally approached HR about addressing my concerns with our current leave policy, I was under the impression that there'd be a specific item on the meeting agenda today. Unfortunately, there appears to be a double standard when it comes to getting items on the agenda. Currently, the only route I have to have my concerns heard by this board is to come up during the public comment period. When the Board of Commissioners decided to eliminate the wellness program and take away vacation days from employees, it piqued my interest in determining how our benefits compare to other local agencies, specifically regarding Sarpy County's leave policy. What I found is that we are severely lagging behind other public agencies in the area. I've provided you all with a copy of the proposed revisions to Rule 12 of the Personnel Rules and Regulations. These changes would bring us more in line with other local agencies with which we are competing for employees. I can share all of the data that shows these changes are warranted. And at the previous meeting, I spoke at length to those, the data. Last time I was in front of this board, I talked about an opening for a civil engineer position we have in Public Works. We have still yet to fill this position. Every person that I talked to regarding this position commented on how bad our current leave policy is. I'm sure other departments in the county have similar stories. This is a major roadblock that's preventing us from hiring quality employees. I'm asking this board to please consider directing Sarpy County HR to review and recommend changes to Rule 12 of the Personnel Rules and Regulations. I'm willing to help in any way that I can and provide all of the data I have collected during my research. This is something that needs to be addressed immediately. I'm open to answering any questions now, or you can contact me anytime after the meeting to discuss concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hergengrader. We'll move to item 2.
Before we move on from public comments, Jonathan, could you please just say, is there anybody else here who wants to speak on public comments? If not, we'll move on to item 2.
Okay. Is there anyone else present that would like to make comments during this open time?
I was not notified.
Seeing no one approach, we'll close the open comments. We will now proceed to item 2, the approval of minutes for the June 12th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Bennett.
Hang on, just give me one second. I was running behind.
Motion
Sorry, who motioned?
Motion by Bennett,
Thank you.
seconded by Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those motions are to approve the minutes as of June 12th. Would you please vote? Ayes are 4,
One absent, motion carries.
1 absent. We'll now proceed to item 3, to approve Personnel Policy Board meeting rules that were revised per the open meeting rules. Kayla Starbuck, Deputy County Attorney, will comment.
Good afternoon, board members. This is a rule change that covers that open meeting section we just walked through in the script. As I'm sure you're all aware, this is a new item on our board agenda because this board is subject to the open meeting laws of the state. This was implemented in the middle of July. The rules that you have seen amended here match the rules that the Board of Commissioners have approved for their meetings. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about what open comments are, how that will work, any concerns you have with the proposed rules, and if not, we ask that you approve the amended rules. Thank you.
Is there any board discussion?
One
Question?
One comment. Before the final version, spell check, there's a couple places in the red line that needs cleaned up.
We can do that. If they are just clerical errors, we can amend those post this meeting. If you make a motion that says approve with clerical errors.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Were you contacted by anyone to request to make comments?
No.
Since no one has come forward, I am closing the time for comments. Time closed for comments is 4:09 p.m. Since no one requested to appear before the board and give their view on the proposed rule, no comment period is provided. Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept the proposed rule change with two issues. There's some spell check that needs to be done under subsection 2 and subsection 3. And it's just, literally, that's what it is. It's just spell check.
Thank you, George. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by George Forst and seconded by Randy Bennett to accept the changes with two noted Scrivener errors in section 2 and section 3. For approval with those changes. Is there any further board discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask you to vote.
Fourier, one absent, motion carries.
Motion carries. Closing item 3, we'll move to item 4. Discuss and make recommendation on revisions to the Personnel Rules and Regulations, Rule 6, General Terms and Conditions, and Regulation 1, Nepotism. Mary has some few comments.
I do. Excuse me. I do. In regard to the nepotism policy, changes were made to basically clarify the existing policies. Department heads, officials shall not employ immediate family members. Employees will not directly supervise immediate family members in the county. If we have employees that are that happen to work in the same department, as long as they're not directly supervised by their immediate family member, that is permissible. You know, and we'll have that sometimes in corrections, 911. And so if we have a supervisor and an employee that are married, they need to be assigned to different shifts. And so this just kind of clarifies that and clarifies what the definition of supervision actually is. And then there's language in there which permits supervision in cases of emergencies. And sometimes, you know, when you have natural disasters or emergencies, maybe it's a staffing shortage or something of that nature, a temporary working out of class situation, that is permitted under this policy because they don't provide regular supervision. I mean, supervision on a regular basis. It's in a time of an emergency or a short-term staffing issue or something like that. And then other changes were added for the disclosure. employees need to disclose whether or not they are related to somebody in the office that they're applying for, or if they work in the same department and get married, we need to know about that so we can make sure that there's things in place so that that direct supervision doesn't occur. Any questions?
Any of the members have any questions?
No, I think it's a good idea. How does it work when someone, say before they're getting married, they're dating? Do they have to report that they have a relationship, or is it just wait till they get married and then they have to report it?
Well, with the, with county policy, you can't supervise somebody that you're in a relationship with, so they should report that stuff.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none. Mary, were you contacted by anyone to request to make comments?
We were. Denny Wilson.
The meeting will be open for comments. Time open is 4:14.
My name is Dennis Wilson. I'm the county engineer. Have been there for about 14 years now. The two people I'd be talking about today is the Geese marriage that took place, I think it was back in about 2016. In 2019, I decided I wanted to have the individuals in the positions that they should be in. What we did was did talk to our people in HR, and Danielle Geese was offered the ability to be my deputy and work with me out of the office itself, and that's located at 15100 on 84th Street. Robert is I'll call him a wonder as far as the work that he does. He's operated virtually every piece of equipment I think ever. And he's also helped on building bridges. We don't do that anymore because we broke the crane. But other than that, we've had good luck with all of our people, that do work out there. It's a tough job when we're doing snow removal and that sort of thing. And we have currently no person to be over the actual field representative people. Rod Ripley was retired May 1st. And at that point, we decided, well, we better get something rolling here because we have 45 people in the operation we have anyway, but about 27, I think it is, 26 or 27 people in the field. We decided we would put out a paper to find out who we could get to take on just the temporary portion of it. And at the same time, we were talking with HR to find out, could we have one person from HR and Zach and myself so that Danielle was not involved in that discussion. We had 3 people who applied for the job, and after, it's probably about a 45-minute to an hour talking with the individuals, you'll find that we know everybody pretty well, even on the field side. So as it turned out, we decided that he would be the best option. And the other 2 individuals, again, they do extremely good work. However, Robert's, his tenure goes back about, I think, 25 or 30 years. I can't recall exactly the number. And the problem we met with was if we had both of those 2 married, then it could be that he's going to be operating in the field, and if something happens, his wife would have the ability to, have discussions with that person and essentially be the supervisor. And obviously, that's the one bump in the road that we've met so far. The one thing I'd I have not yet figured out is this was done in May. And this thing that we have just heard about, you know, the things that are changing in the life of our engineering and other group people that are married or have ties, you know, to brothers, sisters, et cetera, that are serving different areas, like we have a rock out in our backyard, and those individuals operate in that concrete building. And then there's another one out in Gretna, and they have that same operation going. Now, Robert had been taking his job out on the far side of Gretna, and the reasoning behind that was then we wouldn't have to worry about Danielle dealing with him on a daily basis at all. Robert has been working as that position up to this point in time, and we would like to see the way that it was handled, to see something changed on why are we going back to May 1st so that we can put this policy into work. And that's 3 months back, 4 months back. I think it's a target that they aimed at Danielle and Robert. Up to that point in time, if it was the way it was before, they would have been grandfathered in. I will say that Danielle and Robert very seldom see each other at all. I would also mention that things that come through my desk are also the ones that I have the ability to say, yes, we're going to do that, or yes, we're not going to do this. And the other aspect of that is, if this did go through, Robert would be at the highest level that he'll ever be at. He is a great person as far as equipment and everything else, brilliant when it comes to what has to be done. But in this case, he won't be able to take that position on because it's considered to be a problem between, and I'll tell you the absolute truth after researching some of these things. The main portion of that is favoring one person to get them promoted more often than other people would be. We're not about to do that. We wouldn't do it even if this does fall through. If this does, we would operate just under exactly what those changes have been, and we would adhere to those. I can guarantee you that. But I would ask that you at least consider what's going on between these two, in that I don't see a lot of danger happening that would be a real problem for us. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So you have spouses or family members currently before May 1st or before this is coming in that have worked with each other and supervised each other in the county?
You mean otherwise?
Yeah, you
Yes.
mentioned the May 1st that otherwise you'd be grandfathered in?
Well, this is the only person I know of that would have to be the person that says we can't both be
So
there.
we don't have somebody
No,
else? Okay.
no, we have out in the field, we do have brothers and operating, and again, trying to separate them to the best that we can.
Right.
Okay,
Danielle being the deputy, she's pretty much in charge of everybody, right? Except for you.
yeah,
So she's already, in one shape or form, supervising him as well now. But she's not a direct supervisor.
right.
Would she be the direct supervisor with this promotion?
Under normal circumstances, no. I mean, if something happened where an accident, say for instance, occurred, something along those lines, she would be there to certainly understand what happened, what was the accident, and those sorts of things. Not direct him, but
She's not writing his reviews or evaluating his performance or any of those things. There's someone else doing all that.
yes.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Is anyone else coming forward for comments? Since no one has come forward, I'm closing the time. The time is closed at 4:22.
So can we ask more questions for Mary now?
Sure, I can answer questions or clarify a couple of things.
So Mr. Wilson had mentioned that this is being retro back to May 1st. Is there a reason it's getting pushed back that far, or why it's not current? Or why it's
Yeah,
not-
you know, when we talked about May 1st, it made sense at the time. If May 1st, we can take that date out. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't change things.
So if you did it today,
Mhm,
would
you could
they
change
be
it today.
considered retro, I mean, would they be considered grandfathered in to where they could just go with Mr. Wilson's plan?
In my opinion, no.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering. I didn't think so, but I was.
Changing the date,
wanted to make sure.
in that case, changing the date would not have
In my opinion, no,
any impact.
no.
Because of the second bullet point on page 2. Is that where we run afoul?
Well, the current policy says that, you know, department heads, you know, can't supervise their family members. That's what the current policy says. And in our opinion, you know, so we've got the elected official, we've got the chief deputy, and then we've got this road operations manager position. That's the number 3 position. And when Danielle was put in the chief deputy position, Robert was, I'm not sure if, I believe he might have been an equipment operator or a foreman at the, equipment operator at the time.
Foreman.
A foreman. Anyway, so there was a buffer, there was buffers between the chief deputy and his position. If he's promoted to the road operations manager, there's no longer any buffers. And so that's the county's position on that.
So if I can restate, current policy wouldn't allow it, and so the recommendations wouldn't have any impact on that scenario, the circumstance.
Yeah, we would not allow, we cannot allow spouses to supervise spouses.
That,
We just cannot allow that
So
to
this isn't
happen.
changing anything in your current policy that's already been that
No,
way?
in my opinion, it doesn't.
Okay.
thank you for clarifying that. Are there any other questions for Mary?
No.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I don't have a speaker.
I'll move that we accept the Rule 6, General Terms and Conditions, Regulation 1, nepotism, as amended today.
Second.
Motion by Randy Bennett, second by Diane Bruce. That we approve Rule 6, number 1, nepotism. Please vote.
Three yay, 1 against, 1 absent, motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay. Item 5. Discuss and make recommendation on revisions to personal policy bulletin employee recognition years of service rewards. Mary Davis with an overview.
So with the employee recognition, current practice is that in January and July, we have employee service awards. They're presented at the board level. Employees come to the meetings, and then the board presents that presents the awards to the employees. The last few of those have not been well attended, and so we'd like to make some adjustments to that. And so when we were looking at the policy, we changed some of the awards. We added a 1-year service award, We changed the Buffalo from 10 years to 5 years, and then added service coins at other milestone years of service. And then what the Board of Commissioners will do is, through resolution, they will recognize those employees that have reached their milestone years of service. HR will have provided the department heads, elected officials with the awards, and then the department heads, elected officials will present the awards to their employees on an individual basis, or, you know, if they want to have a meeting or a celebration event at their own office, they'll do that.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Mary, were you contacted by anyone to request to make comments?
No.
Thank you. No one requested to appear before the board and give their views on the proposed rule, therefore, no comment period was provided. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to accept the Employee Recognition Years of Service Awards as amended.
Second.
Motion by Randy Bennett and seconded by George Forst to approve Personnel Policy Bulletin Employee Recognition Years of Service Awards as presented. Would we please vote?
4 yea, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you. Which brings us to item 6. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by George Forst, seconded by Diane Bruce to adjourn. Would you please vote?
How, so with the policy with his vacation?
4 yea, 1 absent, motion carries.
How does he bring that in?
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 4:29
We need to. How do we do that?
PM.